Moving on to the fourth company, and for that I would like to introduce their mentor, Mr. Alex Do, co-founder and general partner of 1011 Ventures, and Eyal Benishti, CEO and founder of ironscales.
Hi everyone, my name is Eyal Benishti. I'm the founder and CEO for ironscales. I'm a security researcher and medical analyst with huge passion for cybersecurity. Right. And now I take the clicker so I can move on. Here is an hard fact. Phishing is the #1 vehicle to drive a malicious software inside a company, bypassing all traditional software out there like antivirus, sandbox, and IPS solution. Hackers are simply walking inside the company right through its virtual front door, the email server. So phishing is not just a big problem, it's growing very fast. You can see, according to the FBI and some other sources, that it's dramatically increasing over time. You can see that starting October 2015 and March 2016, it was already growing in 250%, which is huge. We can see 86% of phishing attacks being ransom today, encrypting hard drives and files, and actually asking for ransom for both big and small companies. So SMBs, which were quite immune to phishing attacks, are now part of the game, which makes it a much bigger problem. In ironscales, we developed a multi-layered employee-based intrusion preventing system. We start by awareness inside the company in order to make sure that each employee knows what phishing is and how to avoid it. It moves to detection. We increase detection rates and decrease detection time, basically by making reporting phishing much more intuitive and easy, by basically implementing some kind of report button on their email clients like Outlook and Gmail clients. And then it's moved to auto-response. What makes us very unique is the fact that with ironscales, you can actually pre-configure automatic response for phishing based on what trustworthy employee were reporting back to our system. And of course, it's always a result of how good they were in the part of the building awareness and assessment part of the solution, and we'll go in deep later. And on top of that, we make sure an attack that was detected and analyzed and verified in one company is automatically and anonymously being shared across all the companies under our protection. So an attack went through company A will never be able to succeed on company B. We give them phishing simulation training in order to increase awareness, build awareness, and give employees some skills on how to basically detect and avoid phishing attack. Each simulation is followed by a gamified training, short gamified nugget training in order to make sure that they don't waste too much time, but actually learn some few basic stuff about phishing and what they did wrong in the recent simulation in order to make sure that they won't repeat this mistake. And we have proven results. We can show up to 90% increase in awareness. It means that employees are clicking less and less on our mock phishing campaigns. This is a real data collected from more than 60 different customers. After we build the awareness, basically we give them like the ability to report, like I mentioned earlier. We make sure that they actually report on ongoing phishing attack. This report is coming to our servers and to the SOC team. We give the SOC team the opportunity to analyze, but in the meantime, our server is doing what we call the phishing forensics process. So we take the email, we check the attachment with multi-AV solution, we run it in Sandbox as well, but the most important stuff is we check what is the trustworthiness of the employees that just reported this email, then we make sure that we trigger automatically a response to make sure that the less of our employees won't click on the link or open attachment and put the company network in jeopardy. This is an example for automatic response, like in this case, it's an immediate line alert being put inside the entire emails that we find in the company mailboxes to make sure that while the SOC team is analyzing or checking this email, no one clicks on attachment or clicks on link or open attachment. On the same way, we can automate this process to be a quarantine or delete it based on the company decision. Of course, when the SOC is basically approving or verifying this attack, we have an automatic process that is going out there and basically eliminating the threat completely. And as I mentioned, the top and last layer that we build in our system is the fact that if a phishing email with virus was reported and verified in company A, we make sure that it's being propagated automatically to all the companies under our protection And then in this way, we can actually give another layer of mitigation, which is based on the crowd think of security analysts across the organization, which basically create a big virtual team of security analysts helping each other to verify and remove phishing threats. According to a very research by MIT, system securities basically are able to predict 85% of cyber attack using what basically we are doing with our system, which is combining inputs from user experts and machine learning. We have more than 60 paying customers using our solution at the moment, with dozens of active POCs running at the moment. On the next level, we are going to make what we call the cloud-to-cloud solution. We're going to make sure that we actually can connect to the cloud email services like Office 365 and Google Apps and remove known threats immediately from the cloud. Very important and very trendy. We're going to create an active rule-based client protection for those that our system is marking as what we call easy clickers. We know that they are repeatedly fall victim for phishing attacks, so we're going to sandbox the human and make sure that they're going to have less privilege in their email and the ability to click links and open attachment. We're going to gamify this whole solution in order to get some more incentive for employees to report phishing, to go back and see if the report was eventually was a phishing attack or not, and get points and get awards or rewards at the end of the year and stuff like that. And we're going to support mitigation on more clients like Mac and mobile application. We got $1.5 million in seed round last October. We are 10 people of super talented guys protecting more than 100,000 mailboxes for more than 60 companies. Our biggest challenge is actually how to build and utilize partnership programs, because we know now for sure that our best go-to-market strategy is based on partners and channels. This is what works for us the best, and this is the big challenge, how to build it and scale it for the next level. Thank you.
Okay, that was ironscales, Eyal Benishti. Starting the panel discussion with the mentor, Alex Dahl from 1011 Ventures.
Thank you. When I first saw ironscales, my first reaction was phishing, that's so 2005. And I guess one of the big questions is, we went through a whole investment cycle from the venture side on mail hygiene, spam, phishing, and I think there's a lot of people whose perceptions it's a solved problem already. I guess, can you comment on why the technology-only approaches of that investment cycle aren't working? Because we see the headlines and 95% of this whole conference exists because malware is getting in and frequently is linked back to a spear phishing attack. So obviously that cycle failed of tech only. I think you guys have done something unique with humans and the crowdsourcing element and combining it with the tech. Can you share a little bit why that is working and what's unique about that?
Yeah. So basically today it's very easy to create what's called a polymorphic or metamorphic malware. This is why these guys are always winning. This is why they always bypass traditional solutions which are heavily relying on signature and behavior analysis. It's very easy to evade them. Actually, it's a commodity. You can go to the dark web to buy the piece of Trojan and a piece of crypto, run the crypto on the Trojan, and then easily bypass other solution. So the fact that they are going to be able to use email to drive this attachment, this PDF file with a malicious payload inside the company is a known fact. It will always stay like that. So what we know for sure is that creating a huge amount of different phishing, highly convincing phishing email is a much tough task. To create 1 million different instances of the same malware is very easy task. So if we can make sure that we have enough eyeballs checking for fraudulent emails, marking them, we will make this asymmetric effort on their side, like all the other way around, and make it very hard for them to come up with new phishing scams all the time, because we will have it marked and stopped, regardless to the payload, regardless to the fact that AV is able to detect it, or the sandbox is able to detect it, and this is how we want to put an end to this game, or at least making it much, much harder for them to succeed with phishing against enterprises.
So my belief system is that most of the phishing attacks are the result of spoofed domains or spoofed email sender addresses. And so when we look at that, really the establishment of verification or authorized senders through standards, which has been implemented over the past 4 or 5 years, which is what is being leveraged by solutions such as Agari. So what are the competitive differentiators that you have that those preventative mechanisms like Agari do not, which is why you would succeed in the market in this space?
It's a good question. So first, stopping spoof emails is relatively easy, but it's not implemented by any company out there because it causes lots of false positives. Like lots of legitimate emails are being blocked on the gateways since they're applying SPF, DKIM, and DMARC solution. The second one is that you don't have to spoof email. You can buy domain, you can create SPF text records and everything, and send a fully legitimate email coming from a legitimate domain, and then just try to trick the employee or lure him to click on the link or open your attachment, and game is over. Like the email is fully legitimate, it's just coming with a malicious intention, and there is no real way for the technology on the gate, on the perimeter, to say that this email is coming with some malicious attachment. Because again, what they're trying to do is basically to take the payload. They're taking the link or they're taking the attachment and trying to see if this is malicious. And if they're not actually succeed to come into the conclusion that the attachment or the link is malicious, this email is clean, regardless of the fact that it was coming with malicious context or malicious intention. This is where the human part is playing part, and this is where we create an active human layer that is actually helping the technology to say, guys, maybe this attachment was going through all the AV and sandbox solution, but it's trying to convince me to do something that I know that I shouldn't do. So on reverse feedback, I can come and say that even if it's coming clean, this attachment is malicious by context.
So one last piece of advice from the panel regarding their main challenge. What is your advice for an early-stage cybersecurity Israeli company that wants to create a channel program, an indirect sales? What would you advise ironscales?
I'll take it since we happen to own the largest one in the U.S. So, I mean, in all seriousness, we do. And, we have 185 different partners that we work with. And about 85 of them that are our top-tier partners, but there's about 30 of them that make up about 60% of the total revenue on a $2.5 billion number. So how do you get into that top category is the question. And it's really differentiating yourselves into something that pops, right? And you got to do it fast because they're getting pounded all the time, right? And then knowing that you can scale. Because the biggest thing that's going to screw an early stage company, if you're working with Optiv, is, and the regional ones might be different, is that they actually turn on the faucet and you can't grow and keep up fast enough, right? And so that's what we really are looking at is like your ability to tune up the team quickly. Your investors are extremely important to us. We want to know that, if we start bringing you into companies and we really turn the faucet on, that you need to grow 5 times faster than you thought you're going to grow. Do you have the financial backing to make that happen? So choosing your investors are very smart. And then I think it's also very important that you have there's a personal kind of human touch to things. And they're looking at not just pushing product as much as people think. They actually have a $250 million services business embedded in this massive resale business. They want to do product attached services, right? And so your ability to help them think about how they can do that and maybe even hold their hand and do that initially for them until you can be the teacher and you can just turn the student loose and let the student become the teacher, right? I think is really key, and all that requires investment, and people miss that human element aspect of it at the beginning very often. And I think if you can pull some of those threads right there, that's the make it pop aspect that will get their attention.
Yeah, and just one more thing, adding to that, an MSSP or an Optiv will not do it if you don't have an existing customer. You need to prove it. Somebody has had to validate it before you do that. Because early stage companies, especially you're talking about early stage companies from Israel. So you're saying who has used it and to what degree, and then there's where the scale issues come up and all that. So
it needs to be for the U.S. I mean, you can have I said this yesterday, so I don't be repetitive people in the room, but have all the Israeli or even for that matter, with some exceptions, European customers in the world, and it may or may not be that relevant unless you really prove it on the U.S. soil. And Mike, as a manufacturer, you probably have one.
Yeah, and I was just going to add too. I mean, it's directly related to some of the comments here on the panel. partnering, with someone that's already in the channel as well is going to help you, especially with this product, because this product will be sold in complementary fashion probably to mail gateway solutions and other kinds of other mail solutions. So I think that's another area to focus on when you look at how to develop your channel program.
Thank you very much for all the advice. That was ironscales. Thanks, yeah.